I experienced an odd coincidence when I picked this anime up. It was just about the time when I'd started reading Pierre by Herman Melville, a book which also explores the theme of incest, and in a way mirroring that of Koi Kaze quite closely. In both we have a forgotten sister, reunited with a brother, though in Pierre their romance is much more understated, and so more haunting for it, but where Koi Kaze differs most from Pierre is in the conclusion it reaches. In the final pages of Pierre, to say nothing of the downward spiral which brought us there, we are met with the ultimate lover's tragedy, or the greatest outburst of romantic love seen another way, in the form of a lover's suicide. Although the truth of how it manifested may be argued, this is how their story ends, with Isabelle lying her head upon Pierre's chest, both dead and shut in the dark of a granite hell. And this might well have been the fate of Koshiro and Nanako too, as in the final episode, in the wake of the consummation of their love, they contemplated suicide by the sea, sitting at the water's edge. But their desire for death was not so strong, and Nanaka, perhaps as yet not tainted by or cognizant of the full extent of their mutual transgression, offered Koshiro a way out, a postponement of their love's natural denouement. So the story continues, though ended with that episode, indefinitely, towards a future undefined. They leave the dark night behind and return home to greet a new day, a new spring. A spring which, in its arrival, calls back to the first words we hear from Koshiro at the start of the first episode as he washes his face in a train station restroom. It's been a long time since I started to ignore the changing of the four seasons. How important is it that it's spring right now? For Koshiro, time had frozen, and it only began to thaw once he stopped Nanoka at the railway platform to return a button she dropped. It was also at that moment when Nanoka first noticed the cherry blossoms unbloomed, which she relates to him at the end of the same episode. Koshiro is, though he doesn't realize it, a jaded romantic, though, admittedly, calling a romantic jaded is redundant, since all romantics are alike doomed to disappointment. His quixotic love wins out against his reason. Remember what he says to Nanaka while on the Ferris wheel after she says she wishes she could throw the button she received from her crush out the window. I think you should cherish the feelings inside of you. And earlier, how can you like someone so purely and innocently? That's how he views her, pure and innocent. How ironic, then, that the very purity he reverences will be taken from her by him later on in the show. The anime ends with the two of them covered in mud, solely after a mudball fight in the public park. When Nanaka leaves to clean some of the mud off, she says, "Arayaru tokoro dake aratte kuru," or "I'll go and clean what I can." And when she returns, she's still slathered in mud, only her face has been washed. But as she was gone, a young girl offered Koshiro a cup of muddy water, soiled sacramental wine perhaps, and he drank it, chugging it down almost reverently, welcoming impurity into his body, doing then what he couldn't do for Nanaka when they were younger, and she was the one offering him the same. He thanks her, but her mother scolds her and leads her away, leaving Koshiro standing there, bold in his filth. That night, the two sneak into the same amusement park they'd visited the day after they first met, trespassing to access now under cover of silent darkness what they had once enjoyed in daylight, surrounded by the laughter of families. They spend that night talking in the gondola, even sleeping there too. And as he sees her off the next morning, where she's going we do not know, Koshiro asks her if she'd like to shower at his place, but she replies, "I'm fine like this." Between them there is a resignation to moral defilement, a rejection of baptism. They are not Hester and Dimmesdale standing on the scaffold and gazing at the comet going past. Neither are they graced by that light which illumined the adultery of those two, casting it an accusatory chiaroscuro. The light which Dimmesdale interpreted as a shining A, the which he could not but stare at, despite Pearl's attempted distraction. They simply wallow in the carnal spiritual mire of their sins. Taboo love is a paradox, and by its very nature corrupts when consummated. Once betrayed, always broken is the rule of the heart in human relationships, and that first betrayal becomes our personal fall from grace. But once trust is lost, once love is lost, it is thereafter impossible to regain. There will never be a love unmixed, untainted by past experiences or past betrayals. The vessel unto honor is remolded unto disgrace, and that by our own lover's hands.
It's a beautiful series.